guys, so I'm here today with Neha, who runs Endo Aware Instagram account, and we're going to talk today about her story, how she got to where she is, and how she deals with her endometriosis. So I hope you enjoy. So Neha, how are you doing today?
Yes. Well, I'm having quite a bad flare day today. So I've got my hot water bottles. I had my shake this morning, and now I'm just trying to power through the day with my medications, which make me awfully tired, but we power through.
Do you know what set off your flare up today?
Well, it's just been happening for every day really for the past 3 months now. Before that, it was like it happened occasionally, not occasionally, but like less often. It would happen about 2 3 times a week, but now I think my endo has like spread, or it's gotten way worse because I'm having these pains every single day. I've tried everything, to like from changing my diet, exercising, and different medications, and now I think it's just time for me to have another operation, so I'm on the waiting list for that, and I've just got to power through this until I get my chance to have my op.
Oh God, it's such a horrible situation to be in. Like it really is.
Mm.
So do you just wanna start off by going like from your story from the beginning, and then we can catch up to where we're at today?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I got my first period when I was around 14, and ever since then, I've had bad period pains, back pains, pains down my legs, migraines, dizziness, nausea, and it always got blamed on bad period pain, and they never really looked into it more. I was put on different pills. I was on codeine by the age of 15. I had the depot injection. I've had a coil fitted. If I have to say, the coil was one of the best things that helped me, but they wanted to regulate my periods and see what they were like, so they had to take that out after like 3 months, which I was like, no, why? That was the one thing
Really?
helping me.
Is this because
Yeah.
the doctor didn't really know what it was that they decided
No,
to take it out?
so sorry, I kind of backtracked a bit. So when they put the coil in, I had my laparoscopy a little while after that. And so they wanted to take it out because I have another condition as well called BPES, which is it means there's I've got like a FOXL2 gene, meaning there's something wrong with my DNA. And my ovaries are very, very small, and they can hardly see any eggs on them. So what they had to do is they had to take the coil out when they realized, to monitor my period. And they
So
mentioned to
sorry,
me
what was that again?
BPES.
BPES. Interesting. I haven't
Yeah,
heard
it's so I have a condition with my eyes called blepharophimosis, and I'm not entirely sure what it completely is, because to be honest with you, I've not researched that much because it is only cosmetic,
that one.
but somehow it's linked to my ovaries. So I should probably do a bit more research into that. But yeah, I found out when they sent me to the gene clinic in the hospital, and they told me that after my op. But if we go back to it, so from the ages of 14 to about 19, no one believed me. No one wanted to listen to me. My doctor just kept giving me painkillers. They did so many ultrasounds and transvaginal ultrasounds. And they said, no, you don't have endometriosis. I was furious because I was in so much pain. I I demanded to see a gynecologist, and that's when they finally sent me to a gynecologist. And my gynecologist told me that the only way that you can actually diagnose endometriosis definitively is through a laparoscopy. And so then after that I had my first laparoscopy about 3 months later.
Mhm.
And after that it was okay. It wasn't that painful. um I actually didn't have many pains, and after like my recovery period, for about a year and a half. And then slowly it just started coming back and coming back until it got to a point about 3 months ago where I was just like, I cannot take this pain anymore. I was bedridden. I couldn't do anything. I could just about get up to go for a shower. It was awful. And it kind of fueled me to make my endometriosis page,
Mhm.
because we don't get enough exposure.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important that we come with our own stories, because it's easy for someone to look at some facts and be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But actually seeing the person behind it, seeing what the person's going through is so much more meaningful, because you create that kind of, look at me, I'm trying to say something, you
Mm.
know, and it catches people's attention to be like, wow, this, I can see how this is affecting someone. I can see what's happening. So I want to know more about it. That's kind of what I got from like all of the endometriosis, most of the endometriosis pages I used to follow, because I didn't used to follow many. I
Mm.
kind of didn't want to think about my illness a lot,
Mm.
because it was always something that got me really down, because I felt like I wasn't enough, because I had so many things wrong with me. I felt like I was a burden because people had to do things for me. I couldn't work for about 2 years because I was so ill. And I'm just so blessed to finally have got to a position where I can talk about my illness and I can be an advocate for women like me.
Exactly. I think that's so important that people share their stories. And in, like, for me with the endo pages and stuff, like, I follow
Yeah.
a lot of them. Some of the forums I found were just very negative, and it really
Mm.
affected me a lot more.
Mhm.
And so I did take myself off quite a few forums, and that's why it kind of fueled me to create Inner Woman Wellness, to have a positive forum and a positive site. And
Yeah.
I won't tolerate any negativity.
No,
Um,
do you know what? That's absolutely right, because I kind of see it as a law of attraction.
oh my,
Whereas at the point where I was feeling so negative and I used to think so many negative things about me, I used to feel horrible and I hated it. And then I got to a point where I was like, no, I need to be positive about this. One, I need to do it for myself, but also I need to do it so no other girl has to suffer alone because people don't believe her.
exactly. And I think that's so important. Is
Mm.
like, I'm going deep into how medicine and healthcare in general is so
Hmm.
gender biased to men,
Yeah.
and the fact that
Yep.
if a man goes in and he's in pain, then oh my god, he must be in pain. But if a woman goes in, oh, they're just overreacting. And it's so frustrating that
Absolutely.
women are like shouting to be heard and dealing with
Yep.
all this stuff, and it including like menopause, that something every single woman is going to go through,
Yep.
yet they're not having the care that they should have to deal with the symptoms that are
Absolutely.
absolutely ruining women's lives. And it's the fact that a lot of these are, you know, I'm quite an avid believer in the healthcare system,
Hmm.
and the fact that actually a lot of what people deal with can be prevented through lifestyle changes and
Yeah.
working in a holistic way with an holistic approach. um,
Hmm.
for me, I've been on hormones since I was 14.
Yeah.
I've gone on to a really holistic, after my surgery last August. I
Hmm.
started having flare-ups again, and I went to a herbalist, and she said, you're carrying so much emotion, and she said you need to
Hmm.
do a lot on your emotional work before you can actually look at supplements that you're taking and herbs to help. um,
Yeah.
and for me that was quite an eye-opening thing, because I'm quite a firm believer that the situations I've put myself in with my work and how I retain a lot of emotion and stress,
Hmm.
I think that has manifested in my body as endo massively. And
Hmm.
like, what's your thoughts on that? Like, what did they say, what stage you were at all with endo?
They didn't tell me what stage I was at, which is now when I'm making the page, everyone's saying, oh, I'm at stage this, stage that. When I had my lap, they just said that I had a lot of cells on my left ovary, and on my right ovary I had new cells and old cells,
Okay.
like old dead cells. They didn't tell me what stage I was at though. um it's what you said about the doctors being very gender biased. I feel it, I really do, because it's also they're not educated enough, I believe,
Yeah.
about such conditions. Because I having my doctor not believe me, having my doctor try and put me on different hormones, but not actually trying to understand what exactly was going on. And especially because I come from a South Asian background, and at my community, one, we're not very aware of such things, and two, it's not really spoken about within our community. And it was like the doctors not believing me, and also having the cultural side on top of it.
Exactly, it's a lot to take on, and it can be so
Exactly.
isolating. And the fact that you go to a medical professional,
Mm-hmm.
you think like, you know, they're going to listen and help. I got laughed at
Yeah.
numerous doctors' surgeries, and the reaction that they had was so literal, laughing at me, and I was like, this is so damaging. And I've said it on my
Is.
intro video and everything. Like, it's the fact that you have, like, for me, I'm quite a strong-minded person, but it did
Mm-hmm.
take a massive toll on my mental health. And if
Absolutely.
I had been, you know, there's women that go out there and they're searching for a diagnosis and they end up taking their own lives. Like, we should not be in
Mm-hmm.
the 21st century, and women are that frustrated that they end up taking their own life because they can't deal with the
Yeah.
pain anymore. And if that's not a wake-up call, I just don't know what is. Like,
Exactly.
that's
It's
the
difficult. It's difficult because when I was about 17, 18, I rebelled a lot. And I almost feel like I didn't rebel because I just wanted to go out with my friends. I wanted to do things. I wanted to go to clubs or whatever. I did it because I wanted someone to notice me.
mm,
I wanted someone to notice that this is not Neha's new normal behavior. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
And it was like finally when I was around 19, like I said, I went to the gynecologist, and when they started taking seriously, that's when everyone else started taking things seriously with me. And I'm just there with like my head, I'm just like, finally,
exactly,
finally, people are
exactly.
listening. And it's like I find it so difficult to now I find it so difficult to not talk about my illness,
Mm,
because I need people to know how much it affects people. It and like you said about the negativity on social media and stuff, I think no, nothing has to be negative about it.
mm.
We get it, we're in pain, but we've got to be positive, and we've got to, if we're in pain, we've got to fight for it. We've got to try and make a difference. And if we can't do that, then we can find people that can support us. And that's why I've made my page as well, so people can come to my page for support, and they can have a little giggle at some of my videos and stuff, because I put stuff that's funny, stuff that's interesting, stuff that's relevant, and stuff that's factual on my page. It's like a complete mixture. So because I don't want everything to be too serious, but I also don't want everything to be overlooked and taken as a joke.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly. It's just, I definitely think that the more people talk about it, the more we can make a difference. And that,
Yeah,
for me, is all I can hope for. And that no woman ever feels that they're going through it on their own. And it's
absolutely.
about having that openness to support each other and build each other up. And
Mhm.
the illness is part of you, but it's not. It doesn't have to be all of you. And
Mhm.
like, I had quite an interesting conversation with April, who runs the Beyond Endo Facebook group. She
Uh-huh.
said she's not an endo warrior. She said she's an endo survivor, because she's lived her life. She's ended up putting her endometriosis, I think she was stage 4, into remission. Um,
Wow.
so it's just having that openness. I think there's also a lot of
Mhm.
people that they get told by a medical professional and they're like, you're stuck with this for life. Like, that is it.
Mhm.
And for a
Yeah.
doctor to say that is, I believe, irresponsible, because I'm not
Mhm.
bashing doctors. Like, what they do is amazing, but it's frustrating for women's health, because nothing should be you're stuck with it, like, at all. There's ways
Yeah.
of managing it. And I think if doctors were just a little bit more knowledgeable on it, or they had a women's health professional who is experienced in that part within their practice, I
Yeah.
definitely think it would help women a lot more, and give them the confidence to seek help and to go to
Yeah.
the doctor. Because I think so many women just think it's normal. And I think because
Mhm.
of the base of, you know, education in schools, we're not taught properly, fully, all the different complications, all the different conditions that women can have menopause is only just going on the curriculum. Like,
Yeah.
how, if you're not equipping women at a young age on how to know what's normal with their bodies, this is where we're in this. It is, well, it is kind of like another pandemic of women just not knowing
Hmm.
what is normal and just putting up with pain when
Yeah.
it's not right. It's just madness,
It's so
absolutely.
true. And to be honest, I've had a few people that have messaged me on my Instagram and said, I think your posts are really good, but I'm like really scared to follow you because I think I might have endometriosis because I'm feeling these symptoms. And my response is always, please don't be scared.
Mm,
Don't be scared. Just learn more about it. Research it in your own time by yourself if that's easier for you. Don't be scared because I suffer with endometriosis, but I found a way to live my life with it.
mm,
And it's not the end of the world.
mm. And
It's not the end of the world because we have such a great community as well,
mm,
which I've really noticed on Instagram since making my page. The community of endometriosis women is amazing. The amount of support, the amount of friendships that I've built over the past week that I've had my page is crazy. And we're not alone. And
exactly.
it feels so good to be part of something that, you know, you never know. In our lifetime, we may even get to a point where we find a cure for endo, and that's what keeps me going and keeps me pushing. And I just want to help people with similar kind of situations and just remind them that they are not alone.
Exactly, and it's also like, keep, like, when I spoke to Erica, who runs the Holistic Beauty podcast,
Hmm.
last week, she ended up with her top 3 tips, and number 1 was, don't stop until you get a diagnosis. Like, don't stop fighting for it.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's so
absolutely.
easy when you go to, like, the 20th doctor, that you're just like, you just give up. You can't, because
Yeah,
I
no.
I nearly gave up, and then I found one doctor that listened. She went, yeah,
Hmm.
pretty sure it's endo, and then sent me straight to a gynae. And I think that's what women just need to remember. Like, there are people out there that know what they're talking
Yeah,
about, and if you're getting no help with a doctor, go and see a certified women's health coach. That's what I want to be.
yeah.
What I want to become, and to help women that are just at the end of the road, and having, and just not getting listened to massively.
Absolutely. And also, do you know what I think as well is like research it yourself because
Yeah.
I actually went to my doctor and said, I think I have endometriosis. You need to send me to the gynecologist.
Mm. Yeah.
And they were like, no, we'll do scans. That's when they did the scans. Oh, you don't have endometriosis. And then I demanded to see a gynecologist. Research it yourself. And I think this is why all these pages on Instagram are so good because you'll read a post and you'll be like, wait, this sounds very similar.
Mm.
Oh, wait, look at this. And I think your page is amazing because you have different ones as well. Do you know what I mean? And it's it's just such a good way to be able to pick out things that, so with my page I've got something where it says these are not normal, and it lists a painful period that lasts for longer than 2-3 days. If the pain is like body crippling for longer than 2-3 days, that's not normal.
Yeah.
um Pain during intercourse, that's not normal. It's so many different things where even if it's just one of those things, it's not normal. Check it out because there could be something else that's wrong. And it's better to go and get checked out and for them to say, we've done all the tests, we've done everything that we can do. There doesn't seem anything to, so for example, endometriosis, it's not endometriosis. Okay, let's look at something else now. Do you know what I mean? I think it's so much better to rule it out than to just ignore it.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, like, you've been diagnosed, I think, now. Like, how has having endo affected your mental health?
Oh, um, endo really, really did affect my mental health, especially when I was in my adolescence. So from 14 to 19, um, I was very distant from my loved ones. Um, I would get very irritable. One, because everyone just thought I had bad period pains, and then the doctor would say I have bad period pains, and then I knew there was something wrong, so I'd get really depressed and be like, no, there's something wrong with me. But because professionals were saying there's nothing wrong with you, I felt like, is it me? It must be me. So I used to hardly talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it to my family because I felt like they would just be like, oh, but it's just period pains, just take a hot water bottle, take some ibuprofen, do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And it kind of, when I got diagnosed, um, I was so relieved. I finally, people listened to me. And but the only thing is that because I was constantly sick, and because I didn't necessarily get 100% better, and because my health started deteriorating after, um I kind of felt unworthy. I felt unlovable. I felt like a burden. And with my other condition, the BPES, I it's I have about a 20% chance at the moment to have a baby. And as I get older, that decreases. They already suspect that I'm on early onsets of menopause.
Oh God.
So it's like, coming from an Indian family, it's like being a mother is one of the most important things to me, and it always has been. My little cousins, I used to live with them, and I basically I not grew up, I brought them up like they were my own babies. And at the age of 19, to be told that I'm most likely not going to be able to have a baby was the most heartbreaking thing for me. It absolutely destroyed me. I went into another deep depression for about 3 to 4 months, and I that made me feel like I wasn't worthy. I wasn't able to do what a woman should be able to do. That's how I felt.
Mm.
Um, and I have lost relationships because of it. And I think when I lost my last relationship because of that situation, it really snapped at me and was like, how dare you let someone make you feel like you're unworthy? And one thing my mum always said to me is, you will have a baby no matter what.
Yeah.
And I've kind of thought of it as like, there's so many other options for me. And there's so many children out there who are in need of love. So I can be the person to give them that love, you know?
100%.
No matter how I get a child, that will be my child. And that's kind of how I saw it. And ever since then, I'd always been quite apprehensive about getting into relationships and being with people. And even till this day, I still feel, sometimes I feel like with my partner now, he's absolutely amazing, so loving, so caring, and really understands what I go through and tries to be there for me, like all the time, even if it's just for a cuddle or if it's just some words of comfort. And I sometimes do say to him, I'm like, I can't, I may not be able to give you what a wife should be able to give you. I was like, you really need to think about it. And he always tells me to shut up because he always tells me to shut up, and that there's so many other ways. And it feels so comforting, um, that I finally found someone that accepts it,
Yes.
even though it shouldn't have to be a thing where he would have to accept it, but he's wanting to accept it. He's willing to accept it. He knows from the beginning, when we first started dating, I told him about everything, because I wasn't going to be put in a position where it comes back to me after and says, oh, you didn't tell me about this, you didn't tell me you had this. I laid everything on the table and I was like, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And I genuinely can say that I don't think I've ever had so much support in a relationship. I've been in such toxic relationships before, that had made me feel like I wasn't worthy, like I wasn't enough, but he makes me feel like I'm more than enough. And he has helped me a lot during my struggle with my mental health as well. And especially my family, once they understood what was happening. My mum, she's a very strong, independent woman. And when it comes to mental health issues, because when she was growing up, she had quite a hard life. It was a thing where just deal with it, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And when she got to a point where she realized that with me, it wasn't going to be like that. I was not going to be fine if I was just left alone. Um, she actually had a word with my auntie, and my auntie's a psychologist. And I've always felt quite comfortable talking to her. I went to stay with her because she lives in Cambridge. I went to stay with her for a little while, and the things that she would do with me, like some of the exercises, even breathing exercises just to um, focus on my mind and focus on my feelings. And she made me feel so powerful as a woman.
Mm.
And she actually gave me a ring, which I still wear to this day.
Mhm.
It's a small little dainty ring, but the symbolism of it was, when she gave it to me, she said that this is to always remind you, whenever you feel down or unloved or unworthy, to show that you are loved, that you are worthy, and you are an important person to us. And ever since then, it's like I've always wanted my mental health to be better. And don't get me wrong, we all lapse. Everyone has lapsed, and I do lapse at points, but it's how I manage it now. Is I'm more able to be less self-destructive and more, right, okay, I'm feeling like this. Why am I feeling like this? What can I do about it?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's so important. Like, definitely having a support network is so crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I, again, I'm lucky enough to have an amazing partner who completely gets
Mm-hmm.
it and has never ever once thrown it back in my face or anything. And
Yeah.
it has affected, it's affected our sex life, it's affected
Mm-hmm.
me having any energy to do anything. And he never holds that against me. And he's just super, super supportive. And as I've been my family and they've and my friends, and it's been great. But
Mm-hmm.
I joined a job and they didn't understand it, and it was difficult at times
Yeah.
when I was in pain and they just didn't get it. It's definitely
Mm-hmm.
finding that support network to have your back, and it's great that you've got that, and it does really massively help
Absolutely.
with mental health. um and yeah, like it is just taking it day by day and just seeing what the day brings, but trying to change your perspective on things. And
Mm-hmm.
as you say, like, there's so many different ways. I think women who find out that it affects their fertility and stuff, they panic, but there's so many ways
Yeah.
to have a baby. And
Absolutely.
miracles happen every day, and
Yeah.
it's kind of, you just never know what's around the corner, really. It is all of us are just figuring it out, I guess.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's true, because when a woman hears the word infertility, they get scared,
Yes.
and like I got terrified. I was so scared. I was so upset. But after that situation where I had lost a relationship because of it, I realized that no matter what, I'm gonna have a baby. That's gonna be my baby. And if no one wants to support me in that, if no one wants to be there for me for that, then I don't need that.
Exactly, and they've done you a favor by walking out of your life.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? um
Yeah.
but it's also like, I'm quite a firm believer of not letting things into your head. So just
Mhm.
the doctor says that you might be infertile. It's, for me, I'm a massive believer in the fact that I just, what I really try now is not to let these things into my head. Like, if I
Mhm.
start getting a cold or something, I'm like, no, you're fit, you're healthy. I am fit and healthy. I have a pain-free body. I say
Yeah.
that to myself every morning, because your mind doesn't know what's true and what's not. So it's figuring out what helps you focus on what's ahead, not panicking about what you've been told that may or may not happen, because none of us know. Like, doctors can say these things in their
Yep.
medical profession, but every day, like, I think because people are getting so much more aware of, like, owning their health knowledge and
Yeah,
realizing the power it has, um you just never know what's around the corner, and there's so many
absolutely.
holistic ways of dealing with things now. I mean, on your
Hmm.
journey, how have you, is there any different holistic approaches that you've explored? Is there anything that you found that works for you? What have you tried and found?
So I had therapy for about a year.
Mhm.
It was good to get all my thoughts out, but this was before I was diagnosed.
Right.
It was a good way for me to get all of my thoughts out, and it was nice talking to someone that wasn't involved in my life. So that did help me a lot. But I feel like the thing that helped me the most was the gym, to be
Yeah.
honest. So I started going to the gym, and I felt amazing. Like, it was a way for me to get out of my own head, work out, and even if it was days where I could hardly do anything, even going there and just stretching,
Mm.
just do anything in there, it felt amazing. I had to quit university because I was so ill that I couldn't maintain with the structure. I couldn't go to most of my lectures.
Mm.
Even if I tried to complete all of my coursework at home, it was still really difficult for me.
Mm.
And so I had to leave uni, and I actually started working in a gym.
Oh,
I
amazing.
started working as a receptionist in a gym, and it really did boost my mood up as well, because the people that would come in were gym guys, gym girls, and there were also like older people, young people. It was a big variety of people, and like, just them coming to use a gym as a way to either let off steam or just like relax or get in their own head. I related to that a lot,
Yeah.
and because I know how much the gym helped me, I felt it was so rewarding working there.
Yeah.
And then from there, I went into sales for the same gym,
Nice.
and it's quite a big company, and then I moved around to a few other gyms within the company, and now I'm a sales manager in one of the gyms,
Oh, amazing.
and I I feel so good about it, because I feel like I'm helping other people change their life.
Yeah.
I'm helping other people have a path, because we do lots of classes. I teach some classes as well,
Hmm.
because I'm a fitness consultant, and it it really, really is rewarding. So if I were to say anything, I would definitely say fitness.
Yeah.
Fitness really kept me going. It was a way for me to get out of my head, and everyone in the gym seemed so, so positive all the time. I don't know whether it was just the people I worked with,
Lemon
but they
door.
were so positive. Probably is it also. And it's that they really cared. And there's some people from about 2 years ago that I don't work with anymore, but they still have a special place in my heart, and I will always care for them and always be there no matter what, because of how much they helped me on my journey.
Hmm.
There's been times where I had gone to work and I had been in an absolute complete state because I was so unwell, and then that one manager that would say to me, "Look, go home, take it easy, relax. I know you're not well," rather than me having to go to them and be like, "Oh, look, I'm really not well," having to make them notice me. It
Yeah.
was so nice to be noticed,
Yeah.
and they were the first company that I ever worked with that completely understood my conditions and made it work for me, rather than saying, "Oh, we can't work with this."
Yeah.
Like, they made it all work for me, and I will forever be so grateful for that. And I genuinely believe that it was because of the management I had, and it's so important. And do you know what? It's actually surprising. It was actually a man.
Really? Wow.
He was a man, yeah. And he still is one of the top men in my life. I love him to bits.
Oh, that's
And
so nice.
he I went to work with him after again, and I was still having some situations. And that was a time when my panic attacks and anxiety attacks were really, really bad. And I once had a really bad anxiety attack at work, to a point where I worked in a gym inside a shopping mall. I had to go out of the shopping mall, and I was just like hyperventilating in a corner. And then he came to find me after, and then after I calmed down, he said, "Look, these things are normal, but I don't want you to go away somewhere and be on your own. Just grab someone, grab one of us, grab me, and we can just sit down, even if it's in silence. At least you're not alone."
Oh, that's
And
so.
that was the most comforting thing. Sorry, that was the most
Oh,
comforting thing that someone ever said to me. That it was so lovely,
bless you. I didn't
and
need to
it
make you cry.
no, it's okay. It's okay, but it was so genuine. And like, I don't get a lot of men except for my partner who really, really understand my mental health and
Mm.
how much things can affect me. So it was so nice that someone noticed,
Oh,
and he was so accommodating to everything. If I wasn't feeling well, he would just be like, "Go and have a nap on the sofa, just relax for a little bit." Like, it was amazing. And to be honest, he in my career as well, he taught me everything I know. I owe my career to him, because he's one of the best teachers and managers I've ever had. And I'm going to make sure to send him this as well, so he can know how much he means to me.
oh, he sounds like an amazing man. I want him in my life.
He is amazing, amazing. Um, but it's really nice, like, on my journey especially, like, I noticed who was really there for me and who really cared, and who just wanted gossip. Do you know what I mean? Who just wanted to know things about me, and who genuinely cared.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good indicator for that massively. I think
Mm,
it's so important to have that support and
yeah,
understanding in your life. It can that can make or break a person, and that's so good that you've had that support massively. Um,
yeah,
that's amazing. I think that's definitely, like, for me, definitely fitness has been something that I've always seek solace in for any job.
yeah.
But then last year the pain was just too bad. Like, all my energy just went into dragging myself to
Bless
work.
you.
So I came out of it. But a couple of years ago, I did my personal training qualification. So I'm getting back into it now. I
Okay.
want to help others and, like, with their health and how to
Yeah.
help through fitness. But it
Mhm.
and I really struggled not having that release last year,
Mhm.
getting back into it. But it's also understanding and listening to your body. Like, if I went to a HIIT
Absolutely.
class and I was feeling absolutely rubbish, it's just listening to your body. And I used to get
Yeah.
so hard on myself, being like, come on and push through and hate my
Mhm.
body. You can't be like that. You've got to be kind to
No,
yourself and go, do you know what? Today I'm just
absolutely.
going to do some yoga stretching, and that's enough. That's fine.
Yeah,
It's still movement. And I think as women, we're
absolutely.
like, we've got to hold down the job, we've got to go to the gym, we've got to lift weights, we've got to go for a 10k run, we've got to do this,
Yeah.
feed the kids, and it's not the case. We need to just
No,
listen, get
absolutely not.
more in tune with our body. And that's why, like, for me, I'm kind of on my journey of figuring out how to get off of the hormones that I'm on. I'm currently on the implant and the pill. And
Okay. How's the implant going for you?
so I had the coil fitted, and I genuinely thought it was making a hole inside me, and that is what prompted me to go to the doctor
Oh
again. Like, I
no.
was in agony, and that's when
Which coil was it?
the Marina, uh,
Really?
oh, hell, absolute hell, like, was adamant I had a hole.
Oh no. Do you know what? I had the Mirena, and when they put it in, I was awake,
Oh god.
and it was the most traumatic experience I've ever had in my entire life. I'm not even kidding you. Um, just to say the least, by the end of it, I had passed out about 3 times, puked
Oh
everywhere,
god.
blood all over the floor, and I was naked.
Oh my god. Who
Yeah.
did that for you? That's
There's
horrific.
I don't, it was, I didn't even know, like, I was so scared to talk about it as well because it was so horrible. And like, finally, like this year, I actually told my mum about it all, and she was so ready to file for medical negligence.
Oh,
But
100%.
because it was after 3 years, we can't anymore. But the thing is, mentally, it's completely scarred me. If I go even for an ultrasound, a transvaginal ultrasound, I'm terrified.
I'm
I
not
get so
surprised.
scared.
That's horrific. Like, it's such an invasive thing anyway, but like
It
to
was
have that experience is
awful. I
horrific.
had I had to they took me into another, like literally wheeled me into another room to recover for about 2 hours before I left the hospital for a coil fitting. But
That is
I had to tell,
absolutely mental.
it took me about a week to recover from the pain from it. But after that, it did actually really help with my endometriosis pain. But this time, I'm on the waiting list for my second lap, and I told my consultant that I want the coil fitted as well, and she suggested that I have the coil fitted first. And I was like, hell no.
Yeah, no, just do
You're
what.
gonna do that. You're gonna do that while I'm unconscious. Like, I'm not gonna be awake for that.
It's
That is
interesting
not
that she
happening to
said
me.
that she said to because I had mine fitted and
Hmm.
I had it removed anyway, but they said that they would have removed it anyway when I had my lap.
Yeah, no. So with the lap, what they said to me, because I had the coil fitted before I had my first lap,
Mm.
was that if they had to do a, so you know how we've got
Oh,
laparoscopy
excision.
and laparotomy, I think,
Hmm.
um, where that's when they would have to take the coil out. But if it's just the where they can do the keyhole, then they don't have to take the coil out. So they can put the coil in whilst you're having your lap as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I honestly like I hated it. So I've been on the pill for well since about 14, different
Mhm.
pills, and then I ended up having the implant when I was like 18. 3 years, no bleeds, no pain. It was bliss. I had another one fitted, went to Canada, and
Mhm.
obviously I was in Whistler, so I had a bit of a party lifestyle. And then I came back, and the pain was just like insane. So
Oh
that's when I
no.
ended up trying the coil, never ever again. So then I've ended up going back onto the implant, but I kept constantly
Yeah.
bleeding. So my doctor put me on the pill, but I'm reading
Mhm.
so much stuff about the pill at the minute that for me, I just want to live my life without added hormones into my body. I'm
Yeah.
really on a quest on how to deal with the pain.
Mhm.
And it's also like when I want to have children, I've got to come off of it anyway. So if I'm kind of
Yeah.
on contraception as a pain
Mm.
reliever, like I need to find other ways on how to deal with that.
Absolutely, because you'll become dependent on it,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then it just becomes like any other addiction. You feel like you need it to not be in pain, when really and truly there may be other ways that we can combat it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's the thing. Like I'm I'm all for investigating and trying everything. So I'm on that mission at the minute, is trying to just
Yeah.
and like especially through inner women wellness, I'm meeting so many different women who
Mhm.
have such a holistic approach to things, and the things that they found has helped them. Like I'm learning so
Mhm.
much about different options out there, like Reiki, acupuncture. I've heard that's helped with
Yeah, I've heard Reiki is amazing. And before lockdown, I'd actually booked an acupuncture appointment. But because all of this happened, my mum was like, yeah, I don't think it's safe for us to go for acupuncture at the moment. So I was meant to have my acupuncture about 2.5 months ago. And a lot of people have told me that acupuncture is amazing. So when this is over and it's safer, I really can't wait to try that out.
yeah, I'm definitely keen to try that massively. I just feel it's I'm all for trying anything that will stop the added hormones and
Hmm.
doctors just prescribing things because they think that's what you need. And I think I also just want to be more in tune with my body. Like I want to know
Yeah.
my period cycle, because currently I just have no idea, because for years I've had such irregular
Same.
all over the place. Like you just don't know what's going on with your body. You can't
No.
read the signs, and I think that's for me. I just want to go back to actually getting getting to know myself on all
Yeah.
levels. So
And do
it
you know what it is? It's also like when you have a period, and then I know I've been in a situation where like, right, I'm going to track this period. I
yeah,
track that period and don't have another period for 2 months. I'm like, and then by that time I forget, and I'm just like, wait, what was I meant to be doing again?
yeah,
And it's
exactly.
just, it's an absolute mess, to be honest.
So, but that's the
I
thing.
have a question for
Oh, yeah.
you. Um, I've heard a lot of women, I haven't personally been on it, but they've been on Lupron.
Yeah, I think that's more of an American thing, you know. I've never
Yeah,
been
because
prescribed Lupron, but
I've
I think it's
I've
American.
heard that it's a it's a cancer drug, like it's a treatment for cancer.
Oh my
It's
god,
given to cancer patients.
it is. They shut down the pituitary gland, therefore thereby reducing the amount of testosterone produced by men and estrogen produced by women. That for me screams absolutely not. Like, I think for me, I've always tried
Yes.
to kind of stop um stop my periods and stuff, and I'm actually now realizing that that's not okay. It's
Mhm.
a manufactured version of a hormone used to treat prostate cancer, breast cancer, endometriosis,
Yeah.
uterine fibroids, and early puberty. I think for me, that's completely blocking what the body should do in a natural cycle.
Exactly.
I would never
Absolutely.
do that. And actually, this week on my social, I'm actually going into the endocrine glands and what each of them do.
Oh
And
wow.
the pituitary gland, that's like literally the master control gland of your whole body. To shut
Mhm.
that down, that is, and that has an effect on all the other glands. So that, I think it's definitely prescribed a lot more in America. I've never ever
Yeah.
gotten that by my
I
doctors.
think in America and Australia, because a lot of the girls I've spoken to are from
Yeah,
America and Australia,
yeah,
and a lot of them have been on Lupron. And
yeah,
so I did a little bit of research into it. When I saw that it was used to treat prostate cancer and breast cancer, I was just like, what? They
yeah.
really, I don't know if this is safe to be given to women that have endometriosis, because it could have so many other effects on them.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I'm learning more and more about this stuff, and I'm just a real believer in food as medicine. And I spoke
Yeah.
to Erica, Holistic Beauty. She really got on with Lupron, but I actually didn't know the full effects of it until I've just looked it up. Then that is, I would not
Yeah.
I would not go near that with a barge pole.
No,
That
I wouldn't either.
cutting off stuff that your body should be naturally doing. And I think,
Yeah.
again, this goes back to, if as women we understand our body a bit more about
Mhm.
how it is all built up and what each part does, I think we're in such a better position to know how to treat it and to
Yeah.
figure out what works for us, and to
It,
go to doctors and be like, I have tried this, but maybe, maybe I'm low in testosterone, so let's try this.
mhm.
And it's kind of figuring
What works for you?
yeah, massively. And I think also what's really helped me is limiting my exposure to toxins
Mhm.
massively. And that's what helped April as well from Beyond Endo, that she lives a
Do you
very
know what?
free lifestyle.
This is all very systemic as well,
Yes.
because because it's not spoken about. It's like women's health really does need to be covered at young ages, not very young ages, but at young ages where girls understand. Sex ed at school was basically just about sex and
Yeah,
periods,
it was a
and
bull.
that was it. That was it. I knew what a period was. You bled.
Yeah,
That was it. You bled. If you have
exactly.
intercourse, you have a baby. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Um, that's all it was, and it's like there is so much more to it. And I wish that when I had sex ed classes, they would tell me about, not even if they specifically said endometriosis, but even if they said that there are the gynecological issues that you could have, then I would have been more woke about it, and then I would have been like, okay, like, this is happening. Maybe I should research this, you know?
Exactly. And I think
And
that is it, that's one of my biggest frustrations. I just feel like,
it
I'm
is very systemic,
yeah,
very systemic.
massively. I could just end up going on a massive rant about it. I think it, honestly, it makes me so mad. And for
Yeah,
me, like, that's why I've set up Inner Women Wellness, because I experienced what I experienced with Endo, but I was like, this is a wider scale problem.
yeah,
And I'm finding more and more that it is. And that women throughout their whole lives, they might deal with PCOS, then they might go into perimenopause, and they might go into
Yeah.
fertility, and then the menopause, and there's no support, and
No.
it can be so isolating. And for me,
And
like, that's why I've set it up, and I have massive plans of what I want to do within a women wellness, like massive.
yeah.
And like down the line, I would love to be able to go into schools and teach kids properly
Yes.
about women's health, and boys need
Because it
to know
is
it as
so
well.
important. Absolutely. I think boys need to know it because they have sisters or mums, they have female friends or girlfriends or future relationships where they might be in a relationship with someone that has these conditions,
Exactly.
and it's a way for them to be able to not completely understand, but to be able to sympathize with it and to be effective in their approach to it.
Exactly, and that's the key, is just having awareness and a bit of sympathy,
Yeah,
massively. I
absolutely.
I do believe though that as women all together, if we all get our knowledge of our health and the awareness and the power back in our hands, and question the medical, like the
Yeah,
ones wearing the white coats, you can always question and just dig a bit deeper. And especially if you know what is, like, so there's April Beyond Endo on her website, she's got
yeah,
a whole list of questions to ask for your
yeah.
surgery for endometriosis. She had a horrific experience with her first surgery. There's a
Hmm.
list of questions there that you should be asking your surgeon. We've been conditioned to not question the
Yeah, it's
one
true. And
profession. We need to.
some doctors, I had an experience with a doctor where when things started getting really serious with me, my mum would come to every single appointment with me. And
Mm,
my mum is very she's very open, and she wants to know everything, which I
yeah,
think is amazing. She'll come to the doctors with me with a list
yeah,
of things to ask. And I've noticed sometimes the doctors don't really want to answer her questions,
yeah, exactly.
and they try and like move away from it. And I actually had like quite a hostile doctor one time where he had kind of like completely dismissed my mum's questions and said, well, I'm going to be doing this. And then I got really angry because I'm like, no, these are actually serious questions. I was like, right, so I reiterated her question. I was like, I'm the patient here, you need to listen to me.
Mm. And I think,
And it's so important that we do ask questions. We if something doesn't feel right, then to just question it, and to, like you said before, like keep pushing for an answer.
and I think that's the thing, like, ask, like, phone up your doctors and make an appointment, but ask for their women's health specialist or someone who is a bit more adverse to women's health issues.
Yeah,
And I think that's what I've definitely learned, is now I used to just ask for like a doctor or a female doctor, but that's not the case.
yeah,
You need to ask for someone who is actually trained in that, and if they're not, then you need to look at a different doctor's surgery, or look at a
exactly.
holistic way of dealing with things, and reach out to a women's health coach. I just feel like
Hmm.
if we just equip women with more knowledge and more routes to go down, then we can make a change. And there has to be a point in time where we start to get listened to massively, and I'm a strong
Yeah,
believer that we will. We've all just got to keep going and keep sharing and keep
exactly.
communicating and supporting each other, and I think that's
That's what I think is so important, is that we're building our own little community. Do you know what I mean? And it's like the more people, and the thing is, we're all so friendly, and
yeah,
everyone's willing to be open about it, because there's no there's no shame with people with people with endo, because we've been through all of it. We've had the gory situations as well, so we're not afraid of those.
yeah,
And some people may feel a bit uncomfortable if we talk about, I don't know, the size of our clots, but talking to someone that has endo,
mm,
it's like, oh really, how big was it? Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
it's
exactly.
it's nice to be able to fully explain things and someone understands. And it's been such a relief since I made this page, that the amount of women that I've been speaking to, and especially you, like, we're all very comfortable talking about our body and our illness, because all of our goals are basically the same. We want to bring awareness to it. We want to make sure no one suffers as much as we did.
Exactly. And I think just keep going, guys, and keep, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep sharing and
massively.
yeah.
But yeah, I honestly, so kind of rounding up then, what would your 3 tips be to women that are in a position who just have no idea where to begin?
I would say research endometriosis. Follow pages on social media, because majority of them are from personal experiences, and majority of them are willing to talk to you and explain how they're feeling and give you more tips. And don't give up. Do not give up on yourself.
Exactly.
That will be my 3 tips.
Perfect. They are great advice. Honestly,
Thank you
so much
much
for sharing with us. It's been great.
No, thank you for hearing me out. It's really amazing being able to talk about it openly and having someone to listen, and like being able to get my story out there so it can help and inspire others. So I thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, Georgia.
It's been a pleasure.
You too, darling. I hope you take care.
You
Look
too.
after yourself and relax, all right?
You too. Take care.
Take care, my lovely. Bye.
Bye.